education, right? It's such a big thing. There are lots of people who don't even know what is protein.
Yes. Come to the United States. That's the majority of Americans. But let me introduce myself to your audience. My name is Michael Hicks. What I am is I transpire and change your life. And how I do that, I'm a life coach, I'm a mindset strategist, and we had talked a little bit about my podcast. So I'm a podcast where I provide value, unlocking our full potential. With about 25 years of experience, I really specialize in guiding people through their purposeful growth,
Mm-hmm.
through discovering their purposeful journey, creating sustainable success. And that begins with our mindset, right? And then thriving in each particular area of our life. So my business in itself is called Live to Thrive. So that's LIV, the number 2, and then thrive. I holistically work on the mind, the body, and then the soul. So then through that Live to Thrive framework, my goal is to empower others to embrace what I call resilience. And when resilience is practiced and understood over a period of time, you develop a term called anti-fragility. And that is the utmost upper echelon of building resilience. I help you undercover and how to develop discipline, a winning mindset, achieve dreams. I have clients that have worked with me that have fully started out in a career that have transpired into a entrepreneurial type leadership, even some high executive positions, and to like live intentionally, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's through my coaching and my speaking engagements and hosting my what I believe, maybe others don't believe that, but my thought-provoking podcast conversations and I'm really I found out late in my life what my purpose was, and I'm the guy that I wish I would have had, like I said, 10 years ago, because it took me some time to get where I'm at. I'm going to be 52, ladies, in March, and it's the lasting transformation that I help build. So, so that's me in a nutshell.
I feel that sometimes timing is everything, and sometimes we don't know what our life purpose is until much later on in life, and for good reason. If we did it earlier, we would not have the wisdom or the know-how. And so it's a blessing, to know what your life purpose is when you have accumulated so much more wisdom. And so, Michael, maybe you want to tell or share with, more of our listeners, like how you can help them. They're
Yeah,
midlifers, right? And
yeah.
it's not too late to start their life purpose if they feel that they have not discovered it. Like, do you have a process to help them to uncover that?
Yeah, it's just this is the biggest thing that I'm about to tell everybody is being able to want to change.
Mm.
And change is hard for a lot of people. And I'm the coach that you hire when you have an empty pit in your stomach, when you feel like, gosh, I struggle with my 9 to 5 job, and then I got to come home and I got to be a quality parent when all I want to do is check out. I don't want to talk to my significant other. I want to veg out on the couch. I don't want to talk to my kids. Like it's truly that piece right there. And it's something that you have that's really you feel like you should be more. And so many people, and thank you again for having this conversation because I feel like we have so many people that kind of walk through life just coasting,
Mm.
and they do things that they're told to do when it starts so much from our mindset. And I always like to tell everybody I was actually having this conversation today before we got on the podcast with a gentleman. I always ask before anybody's going to be my client, I always ask them, how do you how do you gain knowledge? And many would say that, well, you got to read a book, right? Well, many people would say, okay, so then my follow-up question is, so you're saying you can gain knowledge from a book? I said, I'll say, okay, but how can you truly make something impactful from that? And it's called applied knowledge, right? So all of us on this podcast today, or anybody that's listening, can pick up a book and they can read it, which I just got done reading a book, but it was like a 6 hour read. And if you are not, you can read the book, but if you're truly not applying the knowledge to
Mm.
that, what's your purpose then? What is the purpose of creating change? People are scared. And I know when I was with when I brought on Alina on my podcast is we talked about, faith, and we talked about fear. People either are on one side of the fence or they're on the other side of the fence. And most of us live in a fearful life. I mean, you guys, we just had some major, not to bring politics into it, but in the United States was in uproars about the new political situation. And so much of the conversation was about when I would talk to people, if I was passing through, going to the gym, grocery store, everybody was talking politics, and everybody would say, "Well, how are you today after the elections?" I said, "The elections don't bother me." And they're like, "Because I know I have a bigger purpose. My creator made those decisions. He's the one that I answer to." I don't know if that really answered your question. Maybe because sometimes I go everywhere. I'm like a spider web. So does that kind of answer your question?
I think what you said, Michael, is, and Shamla can truly, back this up as well, with her coaching experience and all the people she deals with. But, like when we're talking about the fear, it's the fear of the unknown. Because, we
Yeah.
get so set in our ways, as we coast along that, we're quite content with where we are, but yet not quite happy where we are. We want to make the change, but we're too scared to take that step. And I totally understand having someone there to help guide you, over that threshold, because you don't know where you're going to go if you stay stuck where you are.
It's interesting you say that because, you know, there are two things that people always want in life. Well, I should say mostly. There's one thing, and people always want happiness. However, the biggest thing on reason how happiness occurs is being healthy. If you're healthy, like even as a single father, is I don't wish my daughter to be happy. I wish my daughter to be healthy. If she's healthy, she has the ability to be happy and create happiness, So I love what you said there.
Mhm. We actually, thank you. We actually spoke about this on another episode about, I was just looking back on some of our previous episodes, Shamala, about how, you'll never get a fit person or a healthy person, put you down, for anything, and don't get advice
Yeah.
from someone who is
Yeah.
unhealthy and unhappy, because they
Yeah.
will never lead you in the right direction you need to be.
For sure. Healthy people, firstly, you're not bothered by, how your body is moving. I mean, if you're physically healthy, your mind is going to be healthy. You're going to make better choices. And you obviously made good choices, and that's why you are healthy. So it's like a chicken and egg story as well. So there is mindset, there is, physical wellness, and everything ties in. But yeah, physical health, and especially when you are when you hit your midlife, health is a big thing.
Yeah, it's remarkable. And Lena, I love, your posts that you do. If you guys haven't had a chance to see what she does every day, I mean, she is just full of health, and health is related to happiness and the pictures and Shamala, how did you guys connect? I'm curious how you guys created this podcast. How did you guys? Because it's so interesting. Because I mean, it's so, and I mean, I stumbled on Elena with through social media. I mean, she just had great stuff, and then all of a sudden we connected. She wrote a book, and then she wrote another book. I mean, congratulations, by the way. And I was like, I gotta have you on my podcast. How did you guys connect?
I guess the same way.
That's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, the same way. I mean, I guess we shared some common grounds. Like we started chatting a little bit, messaging each other. I think during the pandemic, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and then so we had some common grounds, and then we just started looking at each other's stuff. Then and realized that, hey, and I was looking for podcast partner. It was one particular message that she sent to me, which made me go like, okay, I think I'm gonna ask her, because it confirms for me that we are on the same page on many things. And so I asked her, whether she'll be happy to come on board. And she said yes. And I thought, okay, this is exciting. We'll just go ahead and start.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. You
Just
know,
say yes and work it out.
Yeah.
being or staying relevant past your 40s is you have to change in an ever-changing world. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? I'm curious on what your thoughts are.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I'm going through so many different changes as it is, but as you know, that's just, life changes and situations. And, and then you're applying in a world that you don't really understand or know or like sometimes, that I actually find myself, I'm beginning to sound like my parents. And I think that, as we're trying to navigate through uncharted waters for our own self, because, we talk a lot about, going through, this stage of life where we've had our children, where, there's a lot of changes in that happening, for us, and how we've been conditioned to be a certain way as we grow up, we have our families, or we get married, we have our families, no one plans for divorce and no one plans for, everything that goes with that. And it's really uncharted territory. And then you kind of navigate through all that, they find your feet again, and then your children leave. You're in a situation where you didn't think you were going to be. So you're trying to navigate through that all the time. And then you've got the technology, it's interesting. One of my good friends is having a baby very soon. She's a lot younger, and she's due in about 3 weeks. And she, I've been looking and helping her with, it's her first baby. And it's interesting because a lot of the things now that are happening with babies, I often found myself saying, oh, look, I'm really sorry. I didn't have that when I was having my baby. And that's when I noticed, God, I'm sounding like my mother. But I've always been careful not to say the same words as she did. She's, oh, not in my day.
What's funny is that you learn from your parents. And I remember distinctively my mom, God rest her soul, and she would always say to me, and this just, I cringe when I say this. She used to say all the time, do as I say, not as I do. And in this day and age, our kids listen and watch more than you could tell them, go clean your room, right? I mean, I've got a 10-year-old for just for you for context here. You could say that and they're not going to do it. But if you're doing it and you're modeling that behavior, or maybe you're making your bed in the morning, eventually that's going to kick in. Now, I'm not saying that our parents did a remarkable job on what they knew at the time and what they had. For mine, barely educated high school people. My stepdad barely made it, I think, till eighth grade. So they knew that they can only the knowledge that they had was what they had. But it's interesting how our parents, either through good things in different times, traumatic times, still have some kind of resemblance for us later on in life.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. And, on reflection of that, my father, when, and I'm only talking probably about, oh, maybe about 20 years ago. And we're having this conversation, and where he lived is quite busy. It's a place called Manly in Sydney, right? And it's the opposite to Bondi Beach, which a lot of people have heard of. It's just on the other side of Sydney. And he was talking about the house where he grew up in, and how there was cows and how they had to walk so many miles to get to school. It took me, felt like it was 100 years ago. And I've gone, yeah, but this is not today. Like now we've got a major shopping centre there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny.
Is it the story? Oh, we had to walk 100 miles both ways up hills with no shoes and tons of snow. I'm like, oh, it just keeps getting better every year.
It does. Well, it was similar like that, minus the snow, right?
Yeah,
And I
right, right.
thought, gosh, I felt like saying, stop living in the past, because this is now. We've got major shops here now. And it was non-relatable, because all these paddocks he was talking about is now all, homes and shopping centres, and it's all, been completely built out. It's a mini city. And I find myself reflecting here now because, where I live, originally it used to be nice and quiet, but now it's getting all busy. And I used to talk about, oh, wow, we used to be able to see all the beautiful trees here, and that's why we moved, and now there's all these houses, and there's too many people coming.
Oh, that's funny.
And so,
Alina, since the last time we spoke, I purchased a home in July in a very rural area, and I love it. It is quiet. You can hardly hear anything if you go outside. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
great,
So
congratulations.
thank you, and I love it. I love it. I love it. By the way,
Ah.
hey, so I was having this conversation with my girlfriend about attire, and I'm curious to have two women perspectives on this because she disagreed with what I had to say. So I'm curious on what your thoughts are on this. So one of my things was finding your style, right? As when you stay relevant. And when I say relevant, y'all, I mean like current, modern, trendy, not sloppy. I don't know if that makes any sense. And so the thing we had talked about was finding your style, like your clothes. So she mentioned to me, and she's now, mind you, I'm going to be 52. She just turned 40, so she's a little younger than I am. And she said to me, she go, because I would be like, well, hey, if you look and take care of yourself, you can wear like a two piece. Like why can't you? She's like, well, you're a mom, and I think you should wear like a one piece. I might be exaggerating the story a little bit here, just for the sake of uh, value here. What are your thoughts? Do you think if can women wear, let's say, a bikini top and just jeans in their 40s or after? Or is that not an appropriate style? Like, does that make sense? Do you get where I'm
Yeah.
going with this? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I personally think that people can wear whatever they want to wear as long as they are, I mean, if you're healthy and you wanna wear a bikini top, if you are 70 and you are very, very healthy, you're fit, you want to wear a bikini top, go ahead. But if you're not healthy
Mm,
and wearing a bikini top, I don't think that would be very appropriate. It really depends on your general well-being, not so much your age, I feel.
interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my thought. Um, what about you, Alina?
I'm chomping at the bit.
Good, good. I want to hear this.
Well, I don't think age you should define what you should wear.
Mm,
Like, when I can relate to what your girlfriend was saying because I train those women. They think that they get to a certain age and if they start to dress differently, they feel like they're mutton dressed up as lamb. And they feel that they don't have it and they've got a mum's body and they shouldn't,
Yeah.
they should wear a little bit more, what's the word? I can't find the word, but the clothing they like to cover up a little bit more. And it depends on, how they feel about themselves, their body confidence and things like that. But there's a real sort of defined line between wearing a bikini top and say jeans. Because I've seen some of the young girls
That's a good point.
that wear barely anything, and it's not
Yes.
people. If you're just talking, just generally feeling good in a bikini, just like tastefully dressed, by all means, definitely go for it. It's when you see the half naked people
Yeah. Yeah.
who really don't care and have not made an effort. And you can see that it's irrespective of their age and their size.
yeah.
But I'm just talking about the general woman who, say when they're in their 30s, they felt really comfortable. They might have had a few children now and they're not feeling as comfortable. And like hell, I tend on wearing a bikini till as long as I can. If that,
100%.
I'm not going to start covering up.
Mm.
The only time I covered up was when after I had my first of my babies, and that's when I found the thing called tankini.
What's that? What is that?
Well, it was you had the bikini bottoms, and then you had it was like a two piece, and you had like a
A
shelf.
tank top. Yeah. Like a,
and
like a
the
tank top.
top was a little bit looser.
Yeah.
Oh, I got
And
you.
so it
Okay.
wasn't like a one piece. And it was great because I just had a baby,
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
I love
definitely.
yeah, I love what love what both of you said, and I'm fully on board. I feel like if you got it, flaunt it. Like honestly, because we have, first of all, we're blessed, right, with this body, and our Creator just gives us one body. And it's not like we can go buy a new body yet, right? It's not there yet. Maybe one day you can. I don't know. But we're given this one body, and if you still and you can pull it off, and you look good just as well as like a 20, 30. I mean, go for it. Go for it. You know, it's funny is I'm a big Air Jordan guy. I love where I will be dressed to the nines, I guess, for lack of a better word here, meaning like a shirt, a tie, a coat, a vest. But I'm sporting my favorite J's, my favorite Jordans with it. And some people say once you're past your 40s, you're too old. I, I, I disagree. It's it's your style, and if you feel you still can vibe and you still feel that you can stay relevant with that, go for it. Like I'm all in.
Yeah.
One of my sayings, I was telling you about the mantra cards that I had, is if you don't like it, don't look at it.
Exactly, right?
I like that. Yeah, and that's in your book. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because not only that, it helps. I have clients, in their late 60s and 70s still wearing bikinis.
Mm,
Go
Now
for it.
nice.
why
Yeah,
can't they? They've worked
Yeah.
hard. They're fit, they're healthy. I'm not talking about being perfect.
Yeah.
They look after themselves. So why should they feel the need to cover up just because of their age?
Yeah.
And I think that I think it's great because it also sets an example for the younger women coming through saying,
Yeah.
you don't have to be the stereotype. Don't listen to what you
Yeah.
think people make you think that, what you should be doing or wearing. It's up to you.
You're gonna be criticized either way anyway.
oh,
Whether whether you wear the
100%.
style, whether you wear the conventionals, the people are gonna criticize. So just wear what you like, you know.
Definitely. Look at all the women that wear active wear. It's now so acceptable. I mean, I've got a dress today. I try and make an effort because I'm always in active wear, but it's either I've got active wear or I've got formal wear.
That's funny. That's me too. That's well, totally, totally, totally. Let me ask you guys. Let me ask you all this question. So you obviously, I work out, 5, 6 days a week, and many women, and that's awesome. They wear yoga pants to the gym. However, let me ask you, what are your thoughts on this? Can men wear? And they don't necessarily have yoga pants. They're more like tights. Would you think that's acceptable? Or is it kind of the same frame that you said? If you got it, go with it. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Or is that just not, is that kind of going past the,
I think gay men have dominated this this part of fashion for men. So the thing is, if you are a straight man and you wear the tights, like tights, like how gay men would wear it, then you just have to be careful. you know that you're not sending the wrong signals, that whether is that the right vibe. And yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate, for men. But if men want to wear tights and go around, wearing it, fine, by all means. But the thing is, it is really dominated by gay men, this piece of clothing
yeah, yeah,
that you see people wear very casually when they're out there. It's just, yeah, I don't know. If you're
yeah.
comfortable with it, why not? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I'm not
I'm
gay by any means, but I have worn tights just to the gym.
Yeah.
I have. I
Yeah.
have. I mean, I mean, I wear like a bigger shirt underneath though. Like I have your shirt, like a tank or not a tank, but a sweatshirt. And yeah, it was interesting. I just wanted to get perspective because you
Mm.
don't see it very often. And you're very right.
I guess it
yeah.
depends on where you are also, right? I mean, if you are in a big city where it's very common for, people to walk around with their tights and no one is going to bat an eyelid, no one's going to stare, then, that's totally acceptable. Where
See,
you
that's
are
what I
is
like
a big,
though. Get them to stare. Get people to stare. Because I think if they're staring and they're looking at you, they're looking at you for a reason. Now they
Yeah.
got something to talk about. Like
Yeah.
for real, be you. At the end of the day, be you. You know?
I live on the beach, right? And then, you would see like I'm going to sound really old here now, okay, but
Uh-oh.
you,
First old statement of the night, y'all.
but you would see, swimwear on the beach, right? And if you have the beach or whatever, you normally just throw a top on or some shorts or a towel. But now we're seeing, and it's not so much the locals, it's more visitors that are coming through. And they start walking through the shops, and I'm talking quite a few hundred meters. We have to cross the main road, we've got to go over the shops, and we start to filtrate through the coffee shops. And it's not just a big shopping centre, in nothing but a little bit of floss sometimes. It's like, I don't want to look, but I'm also intrigued.
Right. You're gonna look. You're like, whoa, okay. Well, but it goes back to, I think, with just being relevant, and we kind of tug in cheek, we're laughing about some of the stuff, but it goes back to just taking care of yourself, right? Inside and outside, and as I had a surgery. It's been about 2 years. It's about a year and a half now, and I remember going in and into the hospital. I'm getting prepped, and the nurses, prepping me, and they take your heartbeat and your heart rate, and she stops and she goes, "Wow, you have such a low heart rate. Were you a former athlete?" And I was like, "Well, yes, I was, but it was so uncommon in a hospital." I think at the time it was like 52 beats or 49. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she was just kind of baffled. She's like, "We don't get people like you." So going back to the original statement that I said is we need, as we age, and especially, and Alina, you can relate to this immensely, is you need to lift weights 3 to 4 times a week once you get in your 40s. If you don't, you are going to slow down immensely. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, ladies? Like
Oh,
taking care of
definitely.
yourself, right?
We've spoken about this before, the importance, we've addressed like menopausal issues, in particular, and the major benefit is, the weightlifting, the strength training, and not just for menopause, but also for all the different ailments that start to appear, as we start to get a little bit older and the body starts to break down a little bit. So, it's so important, that we do lift weights and move. And, some people, they'll say they've got an image of what they think a gym is, and they think we're all bodybuilders. And I said, I'd be out of a job if that's the case. They don't realize the hard work that goes into that. And, women get a little bit scared of like getting too muscular and all these things. And, when I talk to women, and I actually meet with them at the start, and men, and I talk about their history and what they've done before, what the goals are, what's holding them back. The most important thing is I ask what their why is. And I don't just talk just generally. We get to the nuts and bolts, and like there's tears a lot of the times with that, because we've got really, really deep, and something's triggered them to actually reach out in the first place. So we start to uncover that, and it's done in a setting where it's very personal and very private. So we're not stuck in the middle of public where everyone can hear us. And it's quite interesting, because then when they start to get to that, to start to answer those questions, one of the things that they'll say is, I want to look toned. Now, I don't like the word, but it's what people refer to as they just want to look like they're healthy.
Mm.
but I don't want to be too muscular, and I don't want this and I don't want that. And when I reassure them, that that's not going to happen, and you've got to work really hard, and not only just work hard, but you've got to eat the right type of foods and
Yeah.
know what to eat.
Yes.
You get that, then just the everyday person is not going to have that. They've got
Yeah.
such a big fear there, at the
Yeah.
start of what they don't want to look like. But once you've reassured them, and they're really they're really ready then to start. And it is a scary environment for them, because they don't know, they're just comparing themselves to someone who may look a bit buff at the time. But not everyone is like that.
Lena, you had talked about eating. I like to say eating right fuels our relevance, right? So proper nutrition. When we have proper nutrition, it enhances physical energy. When we get physical energy, we get mental clarity, right? They are synonymous. Our mind and our body uniquely have a push-pull system, right? They're working in tandem with each other, and that is absolutely. And I want to give your listeners a little bit of a tidbit here, and this is I always, some of my clients are just part of my body portion, which similar to Alina, what you do. One of the biggest things I told them is, well, I want you to shoot for 70% protein on your plate. Just shoot for that goal for that day. Still have, if you want to have a tasty treat that day, go ahead, go ahead. It's part of it's part of the life. It's just how it happens. It's because we're not perfect by any means, but like that piece right there is absolutely critical. So if you get anything out of nutrition, if you can stick with a 70% of your diet protein, I think you can see significant changes. What do y'all think about that?
I simplify that even further, because some people don't know what 70% is.
Yeah.
And so I start to fill the potholes first.
That's good. That's good.
And so by this time, when I'm working with them, if I'm just giving them a guidance, it's different. But if I'm coaching with them, they know what they need to do. But I always say just include a lean piece of protein every time you eat. And, it might not be the best source at the time, but they start getting into, a practice of that, because they'll start to feel the benefits just from the change alone. And then they can start to refine, down the track. But, we're all human. We all like to get things right, at first, particularly if we're with someone who's going to be coaching us. We've invested a lot of money. We want to make sure that we get bang for our buck. We want to get it right from the start, but that's all part of the learning process as well, and also trusting your coach, because there's no fast track to anything, because if it is, it's not going to stick for long, and it's not going to be sustainable. So you stick with something, just small changes. And we've spoken about this before, about people go, oh, I can't eat 6 meals a day. Well, I think, well, no, you can't, not if you're barely eating one. So we just make small little changes first, but always make sure, coming back to the protein, aim for a little piece of protein. I don't care if it's full cream milk, skim milk, soy milk, I don't care. Just identify that it's a protein, because you start to then learn and go, oh, okay, that's a protein. Now we can start to make better choices.
Education, right? It's such a big thing. There are lots of people who don't even know what is protein.
Yes. Come to the United States. That's the majority of Americans.
Yeah, there are many people who don't know what protein is, what are carbs, and these are things that, people are just consuming every day, but have no idea.
It's funny you say that, because in the book, and when I work with the clients with their transformation, that's in week 2, we identify what's a first-class protein, like a good quality source, what's a plant-based carbohydrate, and what's a high-energy carbohydrate. And in simple terms, what's protein, what's normal fresh food, and what's a processed food. And when I go through it with clients, like, to me, it is so obvious.
Yeah.
Chicken, eggs, and they go,
yes.
And they go, and I said, look, sometimes I said, this is just in really simple terms, because there's a lot of people, believe it or not, that don't know what a protein is. And so unless it's written down, people won't follow it.
Yeah.
And you immediately, there's a lot of confusion out there too. Like, at the supermarkets, there's protein bread.
No, it's even protein noodles. Go back to what you had talked about. Like,
that's right.
Like, for real? Like, that's such a gimmick.
Yeah.
That's right. So, like it's at the start, I wouldn't boo-hoo someone with that choice if I said to
Yeah.
them about look for a piece of protein, because at least they're aware.
Yeah.
And, once you start getting the groundwork and a bit of foundation, you can start to fine-tune things then, because you can only absorb so much. Their brain is just, in overdrive. But it's interesting, like as us as all educators, to help those people even more so. But
Yeah.
unless they come to us, really, we can't really help because they're not
Yeah.
as open to learning. So
Yeah.
once they've asked, we know that they're ready, they've got the attention.
Yeah. I think our education system, right, all across the world needs to change. Like these are basic things that people should know, right? They should learn when they are like little kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny that you mentioned that. And one of the biggest things, I think, two of the biggest things in the United States that we lack is financial literacy in the educational system, and we just lack health. And most, I've been an educator for many years in the education system until I morphed into what I'm doing now. And the problem is nobody you have less and less pool of people that are going to get degrees in this area. In fact, I had an entire podcast. I had a doctor on that we talked about doctors in themselves here in the United States. A primary practitioner here in the United States is lucky to have 2 hours of nutrition or health.
Mhm. I think it's the same
Yet
all over.
is it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
yet they are giving you information when you go to the doctor. And it's
Mm.
like, so I really, that's really, really well said and what you said. And Elena, you had talked about this, and I want to, because this is similar to what I wanted to kind of piggyback off what you talked about. You talked about new learning, right? I think to stay relevant in our 40s and maybe even into our 50s, I often just talk to individuals that are so set in their way and they're not open to new learning because they're still on these outdated beliefs. And it's almost to the sense of they're afraid to let go, and most are men, right? And men generally have egos that affect them, right? And I teach that as a coach on how to get rid of the ego. The ego is good for some things, but most things it's really bad. And how to accept becoming vulnerable and admitting when, we mess up, right? Oh man, that was my bad. And, new learning, that's where what I got from you is we constantly should, when we stop learning, y'all, we stop living. Like we need to learn new things,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because one of the things I would say, when I'm doing, I wouldn't say it was someone that I've just met, but as someone who's approached me for help, and we're sitting down with a consultation, and they're like what you were saying about people are really sort of, fixed in their ways. And they all of a sudden, because it's happened a few times in the past, and all of a sudden they'll say, they're telling me all the things that they should be doing. And I turn around and I will hold a mirror up for them. And I said, well, clearly it's not working for you because you wouldn't be talking to me then. And they go, well, yeah, that's right.
I love that. I love that.
You sort of, you're just throwing it sort of back on them that so they're aware, because no one likes to know that they're doing the wrong thing. They all like
Yeah.
to know that they're doing the right thing. But also the realization of their reality and the choice that they're making, they've got to be realistic.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah.
make out as if everything's all great. Like I'll have people that would talk to me that they swear black and blue that it's not their nutrition that's giving them that's holding
Oh
them back
yeah.
from the results, because I eat really well. And I said, it's not that. So then when we get to the consult at the end, I say, okay, so what do you have? First of all, I say, what time do you wake up? What time's your break? What time do you eat? Oh, I don't eat. I've just got to grab a coffee. And then, so what time morning tea? Because most people kind of talk in those terms, or a snack, or oh, sometimes I might grab something, but no, not really. I'll just have a coffee. Lunch, oh, chicken and salad sandwich. Oh, okay. Dinner, la 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 la. Lunch, oh, sorry. Afternoon tea, dinner. Oh, a stir fry and chicken, and then so and then I'll go alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I come undone. And I said, I knew it because I could
Yeah.
tell if you weren't getting results, it's
Yeah.
something that's you're putting in your mouth.
Yeah.
So I'd
100%.
say to them and go, look, I've always defined them that it's not them themselves, right? It's a choice that they're making with the knowledge and the know-how that, they have. And I said, so great. When you do eat well, but you're not eating enough.
Mm.
And, and then I kind of start the spill from there. But alcohol is one of the major killers.
Yeah, but people see alcohol as liquid, right? It's not food.
I know.
No, it's
but
something I drink, not something I eat. So it's
I
not
know.
counted.
I know. And then
Yeah,
that's when the
it's
education starts, because I actually start to
yeah.
tell them about the metabolism, what happens. It's not
Mm.
because they're drinking, it's just because what they're doing at that time then sabotages for the next time.
And going in on that, I'll give you an example. I very seldom drink alcohol, like very, very seldom. Recently, my girlfriend's like, "Yeah, we got a wine tasting party. We're gonna go over to do wine tasting." So we did these wine tasting things. And mind you, I don't drink. And people look at me and they think, oh, he's a bigger guy. I'm not like super lean, but I mean, I work out, I lift weights every day. So, etc. So I had maybe like four of these little glasses of wine, and man, I was buzzing. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I was like, I need more water. I need more water. Anyway, full circle. My point here is that night I did not have a good night's rest.
Mm.
And it's because I'm drinking a lot of sugar. That sugar interrupted my sleep. I felt terrible the next day, lethargic, slow, not motivated, wanted to lay down. And it affects you in so many ways. The primary source every day, for those of you that are listening out there, my goal every day, I have literally a gallon jug of water. That my goal is every single day to drink a gallon of water. If I finish that gallon of water, my treat is a flavored meal. I think it's meal or miles. I don't know if you guys have those over there. They're like the little squirt bottles. They're actually cleaner. They're not the crystal light. Hopefully, you don't get banned for me saying that. But they're a little bit, that's my treat, like a little flavor. You can even add some slices of oranges or lemons or as a treat. And most people, they're shocked at the fact that I'm drinking my goal a day. Do I get it there all the day? Every day? No, I don't. But that's a goal that I have every single day. And to be relevant in your 40s, for those of you that are out there listening, what are some of your personal goals that you shoot for every day? We've got New Year's coming up. Everybody's like, oh, New Year's, I got to get New Year's resolutions. I don't know how big it is over there, but it's so big over here. And it's like, you don't have a plan going in. You make these great ideas, but then you fail after 3 months. And statistics will tell you 73%, especially in the US, of Americans that are committed to a fitness routine fail. It's because you know why? It's you have the plan. Oh, I'm just gonna get a gym membership. That's gonna be good enough. Nope, that's not. You gotta hire Alina. You have to have a coach. You have to have a coach. I always say this to everybody. The most successful people on this planet, number one, they have the same hours as you. And number two, they have a coach. They either have a life coach, they have a mindset coach, they have a therapist, and they probably have a personal trainer. In between walking from one side to the other side of the gym, I'm like, I'm just going to do a survey really quick. How many people are on their phone versus working out? You guys ready for this? Guess what the percentage of people on their phone was?
Oh, 80%?
What do y'all think?
That
70?
high? 80%?
What you say
I
80%? What are you going to say?
50%.
75.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
75% of people were on their phones.
Yep.
I did an entire podcast on how much do you touch your phone versus how much do you touch your significant other? It's a big question, right? How quickly when you wake up in the morning are you so easy to pick up that phone? As a mindset coach, I tell my clients this. You don't touch the outside world for the first hour, and you don't touch the outside world for the last hour. That time is for you.
That's great.
Yeah, agree. I mean, if this human civilization is gonna die, it's because of the phone.
That might
You
be
know,
another old comment, huh?
no, seriously. I saw a video of in Singapore, this young
Yeah.
girl in at night,
Okay.
without watching the traffic light. She was on her phone. So the car, it was at night, right? She got knocked down by a car just because she was on her phone, walking and on the phone. So people are getting killed by their phone. And it's not an old person comment.
Yeah, no, that's accurate. They're not
It's
aware of their personal surroundings either because
yeah,
did you see some of the videos of how their necks are going to be? Like
yeah,
they fast forward their lives, like
yeah.
it's all like hunched over and looking down.
Mm,
And yeah, yeah, it's technology can be a beautiful thing, but it's also got to be a source of balance in your life. Like it
yeah,
really, really does.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know,
So,
we use it for communication, we use it for work, you know, especially now, right? With what we do as solopreneurs, we get onto social media and it's necessary to use the phone to do things, but it cannot be the main thing in your life, you know, where the phone dictates everything. It's just crazy.
So staying relevant, I think, in your 40s is obviously about the trends, right? But it's also becoming, I always like to say, the best version of yourself. My motto with Live to Thrive, and those of you that want to check it out, it's www.livetothrive.com, I always say this 1% better every single day. Better than I was yesterday. How
Mm,
can I be better than I was the day before? How can I be the healthiest better for myself? How can I be the better father than I was the day before? How can I be a better coach? How can I be a better significant other? And here's the other piece. How are you inspiring others? Get it? The new year is right around the corner. Why are you waiting? Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Every day if someone ever asked me every single morning, how are you today? I say I'm blessed and highly favored. And I say because I've got another opportunity to provide value for other people on this planet. I get an opportunity to be a father. I get an opportunity to teach others. I get an opportunity to provide value to others. And why are you waiting? You know, I was having a conversation with a buddy that I played college basketball. And we played, and I'm still friends. And they're a little older than I am. They're in their like 53-ish. But we played ball together. And when I turned 50, he's like, Mike, he's like, man, not a lot of us get to make it to 50. And he's like, it's a big milestone. And ever since I heard those words, I don't take them for granted.
mm,
And so when everybody says the new year, why not now?
mm.
What are you waiting for? Tomorrow's never guaranteed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially in this day and age.
100%.
Mm. Yeah.
100%. I had a colleague of mine that I had on this is I'll make it quick. I had a colleague of mine that he was a doctor and I had him on my podcast and knew him for years. Died of an instant heart attack at 55 years old.
Mm,
Had the world and everything going for him. That was hard going to his funeral. That was
yeah.
extremely hard. So that's my point. It's like everybody's always like, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow or I'll do it next week or I'll do it on the new year." Why? Why? Just imagine how much of a jump start you could get if you started now. If you start tomorrow.
Mm, absolutely.
absolutely. I can use the same principle with health. So you'll get why wait for something, why wait for a disease to happen or to be sick or to be injured to start when you could be starting now and it's money in the bank. Because you don't know what's going to be around the corner. Like, I'm 55. I went to one of my clients' funeral last weekend,
Mm,
and it was just a private. He'd actually passed away a couple of months ago, but because there was an inquiry into his death, because he just died at home, And a friend found him in the home. He was 59.
Wow.
And it just broke my heart because he had all these troubles and everything all set, in place. And it just seemed so wrong. It was different if he was sick.
Yeah.
But, it just helps you reflect on things because, you've got to do stuff while you can because like what you said, Michael, you don't know what's around the corner. And then there's people that I know that are going through, sickness at the moment, whether it be through cancer or they're going through injuries or, like post-recovery from surgery. And they're all active people. And I said to them, you realise that your recovery is a lot quicker now because of what you've done in the past. And I said, it's all money in the bank. You don't realize it at the time. Yes, it's hard. Yes, you don't feel like doing it at the time, but it's all money in the bank because later on one day you just never know, you might have to draw on it.
Yeah.
And which is what, they do. So there is no time like the present. And, so like, I'm going to start Monday.
Yeah.
Great. First thing we're going to fix, we're going to start Thursday.
Yeah. One day or day one? Which one is it?
Yeah. I get people telling me, I know I have this trauma that I need to heal from, but I'm not ready.
Jeez.
And I said, so when will you be ready? Because in the meantime, it's going to be a block in your life. It's going to block you from success. It's going to block you from feeling good. It's going to block you from all the things that you want. You can't achieve those things without clearing this block.
I'm in DMs and I ask, they'll have potential clients reach out to me. Oh gosh, I got all this stuff happening. So I check in and I'm checking in. Nothing's changed. And it's gotten worse.
Yeah.
And change is hard. Change is hard. But change can create and habit stack those into positive things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
change is hard, but not changing is also hard. So why don't just change?
Agreed. I know. And we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I want to just say thank you. And for any of the listeners out there, if you want to get a hold of me, you can go to my website. My website is www.thrive.com. Maybe you can see it right back up there. And my Instagram, I'll just give you my Instagram because it's got everything on there. It's Coach_Hicks MB.
Yeah. Shall we sign out, Alina?
Yes, this is Alina from Noosa, Queensland, Australia.
And this is Shamla from Singapore signing out from all of us Midlifers. See you all again. Bye.